Hey folks, so this video is for anybody who's curious about using an old large format monorail camera. This one is a Sinar Norma, and I'm sure there's probably not many people out there that would need a video like this, but in case there are, yeah, I've got one that I love using, and let me just give you a quick rundown so you can use it properly yourself. Here it is on the floor in pieces. So we've got the rear standard, the front standard, the bellows, and this is the rail clamp assembly. This is the Sinar tripod head support, which is a really sweet design. It just tilts in one direction because on the monorail you can adjust it in the other direction, and it has a panning here, this adjustment. So what you do is take this base rail clamp and it just screws on to the bottom. It's got a tripod thread. And then you've got your rail, and these come in various lengths. Like here's a 6-inch. I'll show you later what it looks like to transport it on this little 6-inch. And then to connect the two rail sections, you just push them together and then they screw together like this into that clamp and tighten that down. Okay, let's start with the front standard. So that's just going to slide on to the rail right here. And you'll need to first loosen this lever right here. This is the coarse focus lever. So loosen that, slide it on the rail, and tighten the coarse focus down. That's that bottom lever right there. And now we'll go ahead and mount the rear standard. So that's this one. Same thing. It's pretty much the same design as the front, just barely different. That slides on like that. And now we can put on the bellows. These are an aftermarket bellows. So the Sinar Systems has these grooves here that sit right in, and then there's a little metal tab that slides down. I'll give you a close-up view. This is what clicks the bellows in place, is this mechanism here. So I'm going to insert that. There, it's attached. Here on the rear standard, the bellows attach in two places. There's a click down here and another one up here. So the bellows go in, and then you click in that top lever, click in the bottom. There, and you're good to go. That's that metal tab that holds the bellows in place right here. So at this point you can level the camera. So the way you do that is first I do the up and down using the bubble levels here. You just see that that's level. Make sure that your standards are zeroed out, which they are. And then it's the same on the front and rear, making sure these are both level. And then you can adjust the pitch here. So you loosen the tripod rail clamp, and that allows the camera to rotate on the rail until the level reads in the middle. Tighten that down. And you're ready to go. So you would mount your lens board and your lens on the front here, and then to focus, you would first use these coarse focus adjustment, which slides the rail clamp assembly on the rail. And you loosen that just like I showed you before with this bottom lever. You can do that on both the front and the rear. And then once the image comes into focus, you can do your tilts and swings and adjust your fine focus. So for the fine focus, it's important to remember to unlock the mechanism, otherwise you will strip the gears if they're made of nylon. I've seen that before coming through my studio, the stripped out gears. So this here is the fine focus mechanism. So you want to make sure to loosen this collar right here. That allows you to then focus. Precision focus with your loop. Once you have it where you want it, you could lock that collar lock back in place. But if you're trying to yard on this while this is locked, you're going to strip out the gear in here. Please don't do that. It's virtually impossible to find one of those. You would just have to buy a new front standard or another used standard where it wasn't stripped. Or if there's somebody out there that makes 3D printed ones, please let me know. That would be an amazing resource. Anyway, that's how that works. And while we're here, the front tilt is right here. So you just loosen this knob, and that allows the front standard to tilt front and back. And then these two levers here control the shift and swing. So the top one is, I believe, shift, where it can then slide left and right like that. And the bottom lever is swing, where it can go side to side like that. And it's the exact same on the rear. One thing I didn't cover yet was the rise and fall, and both the rear and front standard have the same mechanism. There are these little set screws on the side of these uprights. So on each side you just loosen those, and then that can go up or down. And there's actually an ability to add a second set. So you can unscrew these little nuts up here and then add a second set of those uprights to get all kinds of rise. If you want to change from portrait to landscape, you make sure that this is unlocked here, and then you would just squeeze these tabs together. Two of those tabs here and two at the top. So here we go. So I'm just going to make sure that those metal locks are released. I would squeeze, and sometimes they don't cover it. Like for mine, it snaps in on the bottom but not on the top, and I've just noticed that that's true for some and not for others. I don't think you really need it to be locked in because these mechanisms are really strong here. You can see how that works. See that? That's what locks it in. So I'm going to go to vertical, pop it in place, release it. Because yeah, in the vertical position you can't engage these. So that's how I know that they're kind of redundant, those locks. That's more if you're going to attach like a second set of bellows to an 8x10 or something like that to have a really long extension. Yeah, so that's the basic overview and function. I'm just going to break this down onto the 6-inch rail because that's how I transport it, and that's pretty slick. Alright, so here I've got the 5x7 mounted on the 6-inch rail, and I've kept the tripod mount on. So this is actually quite compact. It weighs about the same as like this 5x7 Ritrick that I had that was all metal. But it's way more versatile, and I can just put this in my backpack, and you know, it's almost as compact as like the folding field cameras, but it's nowhere as light as something like a Intrepid or a Chamonix or something like that. But the downside of those light cameras is that they're kind of wiggly in the wind. Like if you've got a stiff wind or something, then this weight is actually going to help you. So if you're backpacking, yeah, you probably want the lightweight, but if you're just going for a day hike or, you know, out of your car or like a short walk, this is a pretty sweet setup and way more versatile. So you can just, also, you don't have to unfold it. You just pull it out of your backpack, pop it onto your tripod mount, and screw it in. Like that, and you're ready to go. Well, not quite ready. So you've got to mount a longer rail because this is too short to do anything. So let me get that. All right, so here I've got another rail section, and I'm just going to loosen the front standard where the coarse focus mechanism is here on the bottom. I'm going to slide in this extra rail, tighten it down. And now I can slide my front standard out onto that rail. There, so I'm just centering it on the rail like that. I can adjust my back. And now I've got more room for bellows to move. And the beauty of the Sinar system is you can connect multiple sets of bellows, you can connect extra rails, so you can get all kinds of reach that you can't get with a field camera. And then we would go through what we talked about before of leveling it. And then when you are done with your exposure, your project, you would do all that in reverse. You would slide everything onto the 6-inch rail and disconnect the front rail, and it's quite fast to do that. So this is just taking me maybe like 30 seconds. I didn't time it, but that rail comes off, and now you're ready to go. You just have to unscrew it from the head and off you go. So that's my overview of this Sinar Norma. For anyone out there that's got one and it's your first time, hopefully this gives you, some overview of how to use it. I've got some more videos on if you want to lubricate, clean, replace light seals, things like that on these, so check those out. And yeah, I hope this is helpful and can keep these beautiful old cameras in operation. Okay, bye for now.